Problem is, you don't even understand what your claim is. Conceptual dilations, physical privations, or both space-time reifications. You take a concept, give it concreteness, you misplaced it. And then we took a paperclip operation. Nazi scientists put them in charge of space exploration, signed the Antarctic Treaty within a year of NASA's foundation, bring up the horizon, get a conflation of actual and apparent location. A spherical necessitation is the south-north continuation or circumnavigation, but Antarctic exploration is forbidden with the cooperation of every major nation.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank you for joining us tonight. Tonight, we had the pleasure of Mr. Hapless Witless Austin Gets It. But he doesn't get it, does he? Well, Austin tonight is going to serve us with a fine dining menu. This menu will consist of a salade de mort, served with a generous portion of merde de taureau. Of course, throughout, we will be having a sprinkling of mensonge. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Austin Witsitt, take it away, sir.
Well, how do I know the sun may go further than we're allowed to go? We're not allowed to go past the 60th parallel. I didn't make that rule. That's just a real thing. It's called the Antarctic Treaty. You can't go past the 60th parallel without being subject to monitored and on-approved guided tour. You can't bring external fuel supply or water supply or mechanic equipment. And every country, major world power in the world agreed to it after Operation High Jump, a military operation by the U.S. government to explore Antarctica. Then they signed the Antarctic Treaty and founded NASA in a handful of years, maybe a decade. That's real. I just read it. I know you can't go.
Well, we've seen two clips of you, Austin. One in a debate with the main surveyor and the second with Vegan Gains. And both times you've mentioned the Antarctic Treaty. Perhaps you could talk about something else. James, do you have a question from one of your super chatters?
Next, Gentle on James says, why won't you go to the edge and take pictures and videos, Witsitt?
You're not legally allowed to privately explore past the 60th south latitude due to the Antarctic Treaty and subsequent legislation. As soon and as recent as 2014, the U.S. put out legislation saying that if you are to pass the 60th south latitude without approval, they can intercept you and you don't have due process. So yeah, we're simply not allowed to privately explore past 60th south latitude, but that's probably just another coincidence, I would guess.
Yeah, probably that's it, Austin. You seem awfully sure on all these rules and regs about the Antarctic Treaty, Austin. Yeah, the bathroom's that way. I want to give massive thanks to all of my supporting members and patrons. Thank you all so very much.
This one, oh, Austin, they did have one for you while you went to the restroom. This one coming in from Mark Reed says, Witsitt, why is it always about NASA? What about Chinese Space Agency or Russian Space Agency? Or what about any of the 77 agencies around the world that say that the Earth is a globe?
Ha! Get the Antarctic into that one, Austin.
So we just don't turn to governmental space agencies. I guess the idea, the premise is you think they're all in on it. They're all lying and blah, blah, blah. They all agree to the Antarctic Treaty. So yeah, they are objectively all in an agreement that we can't privately and freely explore past the 60th south latitude. Long story short, none of those places actually offer a real picture of the Earth from space, even to be claimed to be real. So yeah, they're pretty useless as to this discussion.
Look, let's try and change the subject. Here you are in a debate with a pilot, Mr. Paul Camish, and he's asking you about the shape of the Earth. Why don't you answer that?
On the flat model, the Earth must look like that. It must do. It can only look 1/2. If
Wait,
it's
do
flat,
you know?
It must look like that.
Wait, do you know where the Earth ends? Where does the Earth end? We're not even allowed to go past the 60th south latitude. How can I accurate layout of proportionate land masses if I don't know the actual proximity of the Earth?
How do you mean we can't go past this?
It's illegal to privately and freely explore past the 60th south latitude because all the world's major nations got together and said that it is, sir. Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Okay, well, in 2014...
You can book a trip to Antarctica now.
That is not what I said. I said freely and privately explore it, bro. Not like go on a tour because I called and got approved and paid $20,000 to go see one little section they showed me. That's a joke.
Yeah, I mean, for a start off, it's very cold. It would be a very dangerous place just to turn up on a whim and start wandering about.
Bro, I can climb Mount Everest if I want.
It's also one of the last places on the Earth that has been virtually untouched by man. So no, they don't want thousands of people just turning up there.
I think I'm beginning to see where you're coming from, Austin. You mentioned that you wouldn't want to pay $20,000 and that you would be unable to freely and privately explore. And you give the example of you being able to wander around on Everest. Well, the cost to go and climb Everest is somewhere between $30,000 and $160,000, with the average being about $45,000. But even if you're happy to pay the money, you still can't do it without 4 permits. The first one is a Tibet entry permit issued by the Tibet Tourism Bureau. The second one is a frontier pass which can be applied through the Armed Police Tibet Frontier Court in Lhasa. The third one is the Aliens Travel Permit issued by the Public Security Bureau, allowing you to travel in the closed areas such as Tingri, Dromo, Nyalam, and you can read the rest for yourselves. The fourth one is a mountaineering licence if you wish to visit any places higher than Everest Base Camp or any altitude above 5,000 metres. So arguing that you can't freely and privately explore Antarctica and citing being able to freely and privately explore Everest doesn't really cut the mustard, does it, Austin? Let's carry on and see what else you've got.
Thank you very much for this question coming in from Sarcastic Barman says, Flat Earthers, what's the distance around Antarctica? Please bear in mind before you answer, there is a race around it.
Yeah, so the supposed sailboat race that goes around Antarctica actually goes down and pops back up. They publish publicly their actual route. It goes down and pops back up. So that just shows how little people research. We couldn't actually verify the distance around Antarctica because it's illegal to do that via the Antarctic Treaty signed in 1959. Longest-lasting peace treaty not even up to review till 2042.
What page has that you can't go there? Can you cite that?
Yeah. It tells you that it all adheres to beyond the 60th south latitude, and you cannot privately or freely explore it without.
Can you show the exact?
Sure,
which article of it says you can't go there?
Article 6.
Well done, Toon, for challenging him on that. As you can see, Austin is very fond of the whole business of the Antarctic Treaty, which is a very short document, about 4 pages of A4. Now, as I had a debate lined up with Austin, I was prepared. I was going to ask him about Antarctica and see what he said. I had a couple of slides prepared. My apologies, but Austin had brought along a flat earth puppy called Brian. Brian tended to bark a lot, so we might have to skip ahead a couple bits where Brian is letting rip.
For the first 30
I think I'm summarizing it pretty well, mate.
Austin, why don't
Let's kick it over to Mr. Sensible. Mr. Sensible's trying to speak.
Thank you. Austin, why don't you go to Antarctica and either find the edge or find the dome or film the sun not being a midnight sun in the middle of winter?
Okay, so it's illegal to privately and freely explore Antarctica unless you get prior approval. In the United States, where I'm from, you actually have to give them a 3 months heads up, and it has to be approved, and you have to give them a specific route, and they have to approve where you're going. That was a diversion away from the fact that you've been getting destroyed on every single point that you've brought up. You guys, this is the reason that these debates are only valuable on the internet where the audience can see, because you guys see, if we were to talk about the one point, we talked for 5 hours before they conceded. You're now diverting away again. You could just say, yes, we can't prove the Earth's moving around the sun. We can move on. We detect rotation, and we can question, is it the sky moving or is it the Earth moving? But we don't have honest conversation. So I just explained why I haven't been to Antarctica, and that's a ridiculous question. If anyone actually reads the...
Hold on real quick, Mr. Sensible, real quick.
I'm actually responding to...
Let me just add something real quick. I've been pretty quiet.
Skip ahead.
I've heard Austin say on countless debates you cannot go beyond the 60th parallel, it's illegal. There is Article 6 of the Antarctic Treaty. The provisions of the present treaty shall apply to the areas south of 60 degrees south latitude, including all ice shelves, but nothing in the present treaty shall prejudice or in any way affect the rights or exercise of the rights of any state under international law with regard to the high seas within that area. You can read the Antarctic Treaty. It's about 4 pages of A4. It's 16 articles. It will take you about 10 minutes. I checked with the UK government requirements for visiting Antarctica, and it says at the bottom, the Antarctic Treaty does not prevent tourists, military personnel or scientific researchers from being present, but they do require an appropriate permit from a treaty party. So yes, you have to receive, if I can finish, have to receive a permission, much like a visa for certain countries. Yes, you're not allowed to, or you need to inform them about certain things you may do, like storing fuel there and so on. But it is perfectly legal for anyone to go there. Yes, you have to jump through certain hoops. Yes, it will cost you a lot of money because you're going to need a hell of a lot of insurance, because if you get into trouble, because it's a very dangerous place, you're going to need rescuing, and it's not like just calling for a pickup, recovery truck. So I wish, I'll just finish off. So I expect, because I've heard Austin told countless times that the treaty does not say you can't go beyond the 60th. I have now just shown Treaty Article 6, which confirms. Yeah, please let me finish, Brian. Which confirms that. So I expect to never, ever, ever see Austin ever say again that you can't go to Antarctica.
Okay, now I'm going to
Austin said, yeah, go ahead. Good.
So I said it very specifically, and you know what I said. I said you cannot freely and privately explore past the 60th south latitude. You then bring up a piece of legislation that literally says what I said it says, which is you can't freely and privately explore that area. It says that if you want to go into the water around that area, it doesn't necessarily prohibit as much as when you get to the land. You have to give 3 months advance in the United States. You can't bring external fuel supply, external water supply, and you have to give them your route. They have to look at your route and approve it. And guess what? As it pertains to this conversation, it would be north to south circumnavigation that would prove the Earth's a globe. You go over Antarctica, you pop back up on the other side of a globe. Okay? As it pertains to that route directly over the center of Antarctica, it's already known to everyone that's off limits. That route will not be approved. It's too dangerous. They don't have the infrastructure to rescue you if something happens to you. So when I say you cannot freely and privately explore past the 60th south latitude, that is objective.
You need approval from 14 countries to take that route, sir.
You can't freely travel to North Korea. You have to jump through an awful lot of hoops. Many countries like that. The reason the articles are in place is in order to protect the environment and to prevent exploitation and military using the continent. Anybody can go there, but you have to follow the agreed rules.
I see you have
so
to
is me taking a shit? Is me taking a shit there?
I haven't skipped past anything, Austin. I've just shown
you. You skipped past what I said. Like, as it pertains to this conversation, you would actually be needing to go over the middle of Antarctica and come back up on the other side doing north to south circumnavigation.
Yeah,
that's illegal.
Have you ever heard of one more orbit?
I'm not believing your claim that someone did it.
Right, so it's illegal unless someone's done it, in which case it's a fairy tale.
Oh, do you have proof of the conspiracy, Cats? Because I actually researched it.
Well, I guess that Antarctica is not like America, is it, Austin? The land of the free. Fancy having to apply for a permit and wait for up to 3 months. How about we visit the White House? How can I visit the White House? Touring the White House requires some advanced planning. Public tour requests must be made through your member of Congress and submitted up to 3 months in advance and no less than 21 days prior to your visit. If you're an international visitor and wish to schedule a tour, please contact your home country's embassy in Washington, D.C. So you can visit the White House, but there are 1 or 2 hoops you have to jump through. What about somewhere that you're not allowed to visit at all? This dusty dirt road in Nevada is Groom Lake. It's the rear entrance to Area 51. And here is the front entrance. Guarded. Lots of cameras. Don't ignore the warning signs. Restricted area. Photography prohibited. Use of deadly force authorised. And don't forget all the time, they'll be watching you. Look, let's just cut through all this. I would like to ask the UK government's Polar Regions Department. So I sent them this email. Hi, I have a quick question about access to Antarctica and would appreciate a quick response. I have heard that all access to Antarctica and below the 60th parallel is against the law. In theory, if I had a group that intended to visit Antarctica and filled out an application for a permit to carry out specialist activities in Antarctica, for instance, to film the 24-hour sun in the winter, is it permissible for me as a private citizen to go to Antarctica? Or is it banned for private citizens to visit, other than in an organised tour group? With thanks. Hi John, thanks for your email. The Antarctic Treaty, signed in Washington on 1st December 1959, preserved the Antarctic continent for peaceful and scientific use. The Antarctic Treaty's Protocol on Environmental Protection, signed in 1991, ensures that all human activity in Antarctica is carefully planned and managed. It enables a range of human activity to take place in Antarctica, including scientific research, well-managed and environmentally sensitive tourism and exploration. The Antarctic Treaty does not prevent tourists, military personnel or scientific researchers from being present in Antarctica, but they do require an appropriate permit from a treaty party. Anyone on a British expedition to Antarctica or taking a British vessel or aircraft into Antarctica will need to apply for a permit from the Polar Regions Department of the Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office. It is not banned for private citizens to enter Antarctica, but in order to be granted a permit, you would need to demonstrate that you are suitably prepared for the harsh environment in Antarctica. We would need to see evidence of appropriate insurance, including search and rescue and medical evacuation provisions, as well as detailed risk and contingency planning and evidence of logistical support. Full details of requirements can be found here. The vast majority of people who travel to Antarctica do so in an organised tour group because all of this is taken care of by the tour company. Love and kisses, the South Georgia and Antarctic Policy Officer, Polar Regions Department, Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office. So Austin, tonight I have once again shown Article 6 of the Antarctic Treaty, which doesn't state that you can't go there. You have whinged and moaned about certain hoops and expenses you have to go through, but I've shown that that's true for many things and places, such as Everest, that you have to go through hoops to visit the White House, that there are places in your own land of the free that you cannot visit under pain of deadly force. So why not sort this all out? Raise the money, apply for the permits, jump through those hoops, go to the Antarctic and find the dome. Only, Mr. Saladomo, we know that you won't, because you know what you'll find, and it ain't a dome.